So for this one, I've determined it's a rectangle. Get the perimeter by just adding them up. The height is going to be the distance between the two. And so those are the two things that I multiply here. What do I get when I multiply those? Lateral area is going to be what? 126 centimeters. All right, that is my lateral area. I have solved for that one. Now I'm going to do surface area. Surface area is going to be my lateral area plus 2 of my bases. Now, 2 of my bases means 2 of the areas of my base. All right? So now I have to determine what these are. Well, lateral area I've already figured out. That is 126. 2 of my bases. That depends on what my base is. In this case, my base is a rectangle. How do I find the area of a rectangle? Base times height. Now, you hear how I have multiple terms bases and multiple terms height, all right? So it is just the 2 dimensions of that rectangle, 11 times 10. That's how I find the area of a rectangle. So if I had drawn a rectangle out here and said, this is 11 and this is 10, what's the area? You would say, oh, the area is 110, right? But that's all you're doing, is you're just doing whatever the area formula is for that particular base. In this case, length times width, or however you want to say it. And so I am going to take the 126 and I am going to add the 220, right? And I am going to get 346 centimeters squared as the area of my, actually they're both squared, as the surface area. So I have solved for lateral area and I have solved for surface area. And I am done with that one. So for a pyramid, I have to consider the fact that my lateral area contains triangles, all right? And so my lateral area here still involves my perimeter, still involves my height, but specifically my slant height, okay? So this is not the perpendicular height, which you would normally have on a prism. This is what happens if you were to slide down the side of it, that length, all right? So that's what that little L stands for, slant height. But then I have to consider that little factor that is part of a triangle formula. What is that I have to also consider here? What's part of your triangle formula? Yeah, 1/2. All right, and my surface area does involve my lateral area, but this time, how many bases do I have when it's a pyramid? I only have 1, so it's just adding 1 base to it. And so now I'm going to do the same process for a pyramid. All right, so my lateral area. I need 1/2. My perimeter. Well, they didn't give me my perimeter, but they did give me one of my sides. My one side is 7. And how many sides do I have? 5. So my perimeter is going to be 7 times 5. So 1/2 my perimeter. They gave me my slant height. What is my slant height? 9.3. And so I'm going to multiply all of that out. They have rounding your answers to the nearest hundredth. That is 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. So you get 162.75 square miles. That is one big pyramid. All right. Square miles. And so I have my lateral area. And now I need to find my surface area. All right, so once again, surface area is going to be my lateral area plus my base. But it depends on what my base is. If my base were a square, I would do the formula for a square. If it were a triangle, I would do my formula for a triangle. This is a regular polygon. So what is my area formula for a regular polygon? Right, this is 1/2 apothem times perimeter. Now I already have my lateral area. I'm going to plug that in. 162.75 plus 1/2. They gave me my apothem. What is my apothem? 4.8. And I actually already know my perimeter because I already had to use it. My perimeter is 35, right? So times 35. That is my one base. That is my one base. And so I'm going to take the 162.75 I'm going to multiply this out, add those two together, and my surface area is going to be 246.75 square miles. Now here's the deal. And I'm saying this because I have graded many quizzes for lateral and surface area. Please listen to me. Your surface area will always be larger than your lateral area. If it's not, you did something wrong, because surface area starts with lateral area and adds to it. I'm telling you this because I have seen surface areas smaller than lateral areas on answers, and they're wrong, okay? And so that should be a clue. I did something terribly wrong. My lateral area, my surface area should never be smaller than my lateral area, okay? Because you always start with that and you add to it, all right? So this is lateral area and surface area. If you have a cylinder or a prism, anything that has a top and bottom, it's going to be the distance around times the height, and then surface area adds two bases. If you have anything that goes into a point, whether it's a cone or a pyramid, it's going to be the perimeter, the distance around, times that slant height, divided by 2 times 1/2. And then your surface area, you're just going to add one of your bases. That's always the pattern for all of these lateral areas and surface areas. So I want you to work on lateral area and surface area for a little bit. You have your answer key. In just a few minutes, we're going to go over volume. When you look at a figure, you can't automatically assume that the base is the one at the bottom, okay? Because I can take a figure and I can turn it all different directions. It's called perspective, right? And so what you're looking for is to figure out what your base is. You are looking to see, what are my two congruent figures, okay? Your two congruent figures here are your trapezoids. So while this is laying on its back almost, is what it looks like, your base is this guy right here. This is a base. That's a base. And then the other base is over here. All right? So these are your bases. They are congruent trapezoids. All right? Congruent trapezoids. Those are my bases. So then if I'm looking for the height of a prism, what I'm actually looking for is how far apart the two bases are. So I'm looking for how far apart they are. In this case, my height of my prism is going to be the 10. That is how far apart these two bases are. Okay? So I'm still going to use the same formula. Lateral area is going to be the perimeter of my base times the height of my prism. So my perimeter then, what is that? Well, that's all these sides. This is 5. Well, then how much is this? Well, over here, they told me it was 5. They are congruent trapezoids. So if the other trapezoid has a length of 5 there, then this one will. This length right here, well, it's going to be 10. It's the same as the other trapezoid. And that congruent mark tells me that this is 5 as well. So my perimeter then for this is going to be 5 plus this 5 plus this 5. I should have 4. It's a 4-sided figure plus 10. So that is my perimeter of that trapezoid. All right. That's my perimeter. Height. Well, that's this guy right here, the distance between the two. All right. So when I do lateral area of this one, I'm just doing perimeter of my trapezoid times my height. Perimeter of the trapezoid times height. And you should have gotten 250 square yards. 250 square yards. All right. And then I am going to do the same thing that I would do. My surface area. My surface area is my lateral area. This is a prism, so I have two bases. All right. So when I do surface area, I'm going to take that lateral area and I'm going to add to it two bases. Well, now I have to consider what my formula is for the area of a trapezoid. The area of a trapezoid is 1/2 my height times base 1 plus base 2. So when I'm talking about this height, I'm talking about the height of the trapezoid itself. That is this little number that's thrown out here. They're telling you this guy right here, that is the height of my trapezoid, the 4.3. So I have 1/2 the height of my trapezoid times my base 1. Well, that's my 5. Base 2, that's that 10. I've already used those in perimeter, but that's where I'm going to get those from. 1/2, 4.2, 5 plus 10. So you have to look at them individually, and this is where if you have a highlighter or some type of colored pencil, you may want to use it to highlight what that base is. There we go. All right. And so multiply it out, add it to the 250. When you do that, you should get 314.5 square yards. Honestly, I think volume is simpler than lateral area and surface area. It's an easier calculation. For a prism, the volume is just the area of the base times the height of the prism. Now, once again, what is my base? My base is what I have two congruent figures of, okay? So in this case, my base is this triangle, specifically a right triangle, all right? So that is one of my bases right there. And then this is my other base over here. All right, so these are my bases, those two triangles, all right? It is a right triangle. So if I'm going to calculate the area of a triangle, I have to know the area of a triangle formula. What is the area of a triangle formula? Right, so the formula here I'm going to use is 1/2 base times height. You'll notice I use lowercase b and lowercase h because I'm talking about the base of the triangle and the height of the triangle, not the prism, okay? In this case, it is a right triangle. All right, it is a right triangle. So the height of it is going to be one of my legs. All right, and so I'm just going to plug that in. My volume then is going to be the area of the base, 1/2 base of the triangle times height of the triangle. The height of the prism then is going to be the distance between the two triangles. That's this distance right here. That is that 5, the distance between the two triangles. All right, so I'm going to use a 5 there. And so I end up just getting 30 square feet, or cubic feet. 30 cubic feet for this volume here. The only difference between a pyramid and a prism is you divide your volume by 3. The area of the base times the height, but we are multiplying by 1/3 or dividing by 3. All right. So again, I have to know my area formulas. In this case, my formula is based on my circle. What's the area of a circle? Right, pi r squared. Now keep in mind, what did they give me? They gave me diameter, okay? I can use diameter for circumference, but I cannot use it for area. So I do have to cut that in half. So my radius is going to be 3 meters, all right? But once I have that, I'm just going to plug it into my formula. 1/3 pi 3 squared times the height of the cone, which is 8. And rounded, this is rounding to, I think, nearest hundredth, but I think this one actually rounds up. So you actually end up with 75.4 cubic meters.